Zelen, and I am going to do a quick little video here for you with regards to tools. I know there's a lot of people out there, and I know I was one of them, that when you first read your first pagan book, they list off like the 20 tools that you need, and you sit there and you go, okay, now where the heck am I going to find this, and how on earth am I ever going to afford this? And I know in this day and age, with the economies in everywhere being as buggered as they are, it's really hard to find things. Now, personally, I am quite lucky in that my tools I've been able to make myself. And I'm just going to talk about the basic 4. These are what I think are your basic 4 tools that most pagans, or Wiccan-based pagans, use, which is your athame, your wand, your chalice, and your pentacle. Now, I'll start off with the pentacle. Personally, I used to use a stone that I had painted a star pentacle onto. I've recently actually buried that under the front step of our home as a protector to the home. And so when we moved in, I did that. And so I don't have one right now, and I'm waiting for a new one to find me. But, you know, your pentacle is your representation of earth, and your pentacle could be made of all sorts of different things. I've seen stone ones, I've seen wood ones, I've seen glass ones, I've seen metal ones, in brass, copper, all these things. Amber Fox does amazing wood ones. If you want to have a look at her channel, I'll put a link in the doobly-doo. Absolutely amazing. But what it is it's a representation of the earth. Your second big one is your chalice. Now this is mine. I'll kind of do a little turn it around, have a look. So pretty. Mine is sterling silver, and I made it, as I said. Your chalice can be anything that holds water. Anything that'll hold liquid, basically. And that you're willing to drink out of, you know. So it doesn't have to be a fancy silver one like mine is. It could be a shot glass, which I've actually used a shot glass in the past. A mug, anything like that. But the chalice is to represent water and the goddess's womb. And yeah, that's the real basic thing with the chalice. The next one is the wand. Personally, I do not use a wand. I never really kind of got into it. I've always used my athame in the place of the wand, or I've used my hand. Typically, people represent the wand with either air or fire. Personally, I represent it with air just because whenever I think of a wand, I think of wood. And most wands seem to be made out of wood. They can be made out of bone or horn or anything, or plastic, I've even seen. I try to avoid the plastic ones, but anyway. And the way that I look at it, if it's wood, that it was part of a tree, and therefore it had wind going over it all the time, and it fell from the tree to the ground, which was through the air, so therefore it would be more attuned with the air than the athame that is usually made of metal and therefore has to be forged in fire. You know, I think there's a certain degree of logic in it. But in any case, it's something that's very easy for you to make yourself. There's some beautiful ones that I've seen, and actually there was one that I was drooling over a couple months back that was ebony and twisted with inlay and all this, but really you don't need it to do proper ritual. You need what feels right to you. The third one, fourth, what am I talking about? Fourth one is your athame. It's a ritual knife of some sort. Now, some schools of thought say that the athame has to be sharp. Some schools of thought say the athame has to be dull. Most schools of thought say that it has to be double-bladed. or double-edged. So mine here is double-edged. It's got 2 edges, but it is dull. It is so dull. It's not, yeah, it's dull. Completely dull. And yes, this is my Athame, and it, you know, I made it so I can be as goofy with it as I want. Anyway, mine personally is made of key steel. Most Athames that I've seen are made of metal of some sort, steel, iron, or I've even seen bronze ones, which are very pretty. Athames can also be made out of precious gems, carved from stone, or antler, or even wood. But again, find something that's appropriate for your price range and your lifestyle. The Wiccan rule of thought that I've seen time and again is the Athame has to have a black handle, and again is for ritual purposes only. I do know people who have a black handled Athame that is sharp, and they use it for cutting herbs and for cutting cords in ritual and things like that. It's really what, as far as I'm concerned, is what works for you. If you think, yes, it's okay for me to cut herbs with this, then go do it. If you don't, then don't. The typical white-handled herb cutting knife is referred to as the bowline. And again, it depends on your personal practice. Personally, when I go to cut my herbs, I take I have a little black peeling paring knife that's kind of has a sickled blade on it, and I just take that because the little blade on it is ridiculously sharp and is really easy for cutting herbs with. And otherwise, I take a pair of kitchen scissors for some of the bigger stuff, and I just kind of snip it with kitchen scissors. Another thing that is typically used is some sort of instrument, and this can be used for calling energy, raising energy, opening and closing the circle, those sort of things. And you can use any instrument that you are comfortable with. Again, the most cost-effective way to do this is to use your voice or your hands. Yes, you heard me. The easiest instrument to use, whether or not you think you use it well, is your voice. Even speaking poetry is a form of song. But you can use things such as drums or bells or whichever, flutes, or harps and things like that. I have a sistrum, which there it is. It's bronze and copper, and then these little guys here, the little thingies, are 100% pure silver. And that's what it sounds like. And that's what I use. I also have my raven statues, which you've seen in a previous video, are rattles as well, and I've used them with great success. And to me, your musical instrument is a representation of air, which is part of the reason why I don't use a wand, because why double represent something? To me it is air, because the wind itself is a song. And what better way to emulate it than to make your own song? So those are the very basic tools. There are quite a few others. I know a lot of people use things such as swords and brooms or besoms or besoms, whatever you want to call it, or just brooms. But yeah, swords, brooms, cauldrons. Some people include the incense burners, the candles, all those things as ritual tools. It's really work what's best for you. With regards to brooms, for example, brooms are typically used for clearing the space. You can use your regular kitchen broom. There is a blessing that you can do on your kitchen broom to use it in ritual space. Or you can use a feather, which I've used with great success. But that's just a cleansing ritual. And as far as the sword is concerned, because I did mention the sword, they're really impractical when you're in a home environment. They're good for when you're doing outdoor work or group work where it's appropriate, but otherwise you don't need a sword. Other than that, it's cool to have in the house. You really don't need it. So that's my basic, super duper basic talk on tools. If you guys would like me to talk on anything further, please comments and all that down below. And rate. Don't forget to rate. I always love the ratings. And I will give you guys another video as soon as I can. Cheers!